Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, y'all. This is Jack back here, and today I'm going to give you a little update on the 2JZ project I have going on. Well, I'm doing it with Fiero, and then also I'm updating stuff on the truck, and I'll show y'all a bit about that. I'm doing the suspension, shocks, and the brakes on it. So I'll do 2JZ first. So I have the head out here right now. I'm gonna pull the valves out, and then probably I might, this is a GE head, it's not the GTE, and I plan on I've seen people either weld in the camshaft sensors for these so that they can convert to turbo and get rid of the distributor, put ignition coil packs in there. So I was thinking about doing that, but also while I have it out, I might try and polish the intake and exhaust ports on these and just do a little port job. Well, I might do that, I don't know yet. Just kind of, since it's a GE head, I'd like to get it to work with it, but I might eventually just have to get a GT head and go with that when I get the VVTi, so I can get the variable valve timing. But so what doing with this, and then over here, pardon the mess, I got the block uncovered. I took the trash bag off because it was coming loose and had some rust. You can't really see, I went back over with some oil to cover it up, but I had some rust issues there. I just have this in there just because I was seeing what all the guy gave me when I bought this. But plan is I'm going to start actually building this. I'm going to get some connecting rods eventually and actually start building up the motor and getting it ready so that I can transport it easier without having all this crap spread apart, like the stuff down there, here, and in the house. Get that all good, and then eventually either this, I'll do my pipe dream and put it over here in the Fiero and chop that up, or I might eventually just get a different car and put the 2JZ in there. But if I do end up putting it in the Fiero, gotta find a transaxle that I think will work. I've seen, like, there's a Toyota Starlet forward wheel drive. They use the E153 out of the Toyota MR2. I was thinking about using that if I do that, but I have to do a lot of chopping, and probably I'd have to do custom suspension and all that, so it'd be a lot of work. But either do that, or I might just get either a Nissan 280 ZX or some older car and put in there. But that's a little update with the 2JZ over here. Just need to order some parts and stuff and get that all ready. Like I said in the last video, I have the pistons already, but I just need to start buying the rest of it. But anyways, with the Fiero, what I ended up doing is, you can see the bumper is off of it now, and my custom lights took all the lighting out of it and whatnot. But the reason for that is, originally when I welded this on, you can see on this one, this plate were added after I put this part onto here, and the issue is I couldn't take that off without chopping it up. And as you can see, I chopped it off, and you're gonna see these booger welds here. This is some thin crap that I was welding to, but surprisingly, whenever I was doing that, the welds are actually pretty strong. I'll probably go over it a little more, make it better, but I was going down with my hand, like putting my full weight on it and using a pry bar to try and just break these welds loose, because I figured my crackhead of a job here wasn't too well. But turned out it was actually pretty good, because they did not break. They did not want to break, so got an angle grinder and did that. Kind of see I got into it there, but whatever. This car already has a lot of damage on the back end. But gonna redo this and make it look prettier and just easier, so I can take it off if I need to, rather than having to chop it up like I did this one, and make some 3D print some caps here to make it all just look better. That's my main goal. And I might end up painting the bumper just because it's got a lot of marks and stuff. We'll see. But that's what I'm doing with this. And plan is, like you saw in the last video, I'm probably going to keep this how it is, but I think I'm going to probably take out these screws and move them over and then route the wires from the middle and just have a black like weather stripping kind of deal here. And now all the wiring's from the middle and not either side, and then I did have my reverse lights hooked up and all that nonsense. But I'm going to paint it black and redo that. Redo the wiring so I'm not using these janky butt connectors and stuff. Actually get some nice ones, or like a quick disconnect one. Something that's a lot better, because I've been helping my friend. He's putting a Cummins in a F100, like a 70s F100, and I've been helping him with the wiring on that. And he got these connectors and they actually work pretty well for it, but that's a whole nother story. Now, going on to the main event of today's video, I got some Monroe shocks and I got grease for the wheel bearings and all that, and then grease for not changing out the tie rod ends or ball joints on this one. I think they're a little old, but I mean, wheel didn't move up or down or anything when I shook it, so I mean, that'll be another time. But got the back rotors, rear rotors here, got the front rotors with the hubs. Had to pick up a new grease gun because our old one broke. And over here got, these are from the old one that had some Ranchos shocks on it, but I mean, I compressed them down and they didn't even pop up. They sat overnight and they were still compressed. So I got the old hardware there, all the stuff here that I took apart. Figured y'all probably didn't want to see that because I mean, it's straightforward, but I'll show y'all process of putting it back together. If y'all want to see that, y'all can stick around. But just got some O'Reilly's brand inner and outer wheel bearings and the seals, brakes, all that, and probably put those in, just show y'all my process for doing that. And went with O'Reilly's just because they had a sale going on and it was cheaper than I know about Rock Auto, but it was about the same price after shipping. But come over here, so got it all apart, kind of cleaned up a little bit of it. There's still rust and stuff. I didn't do too major of a job, but everything is apart. And as you can see in there, there's the ball joint. One second. I mean, it's rusty, but whatever. And then tie rod ends, that one's not too bad, that one right there. But this one that's right here, this one's pretty old. Or no, never mind, that's just, never mind, my eyes deceived me. That's just a bunch of mud caked on there. So that bush in there doesn't look too bad. It probably will wobble if I took it out, but I'm not too concerned about it. I think it really just needs an alignment. That's all it needed. Here's the back. I got disc brakes on all 4 of them, but only ABS in the front. And there's the airbags that I talked about in the last video. See them a lot better. But that's what we're doing today. I got the wheels sort of kind of cleaned. They're probably dirtier now just because they've been sitting out. Then the clear coat's coming off of them, but it's gonna be a work truck, so I'm not too worried about it. And did that, and yeah, so I'll go ahead and probably get started and do the shocks first, and then I'll go move on to the brakes after I clean up. There's still some grease in some spots, but I'll probably do that, and I'll go ahead and show you all that in a moment. Alright, well, good morning, y'all. For those who can tell by the daylight, it's the next day, and I was working on doing one side just to make sure I had everything correct, and old Genghis the Dingus here, I don't know, can't really tell, not really focusing there, but I'm sure when I walk over here y'all will be able to tell. Oh, Humpty Dumpty here, either over torqued or put on the wrong nut on this right here. I mean, that's just clean Like there barely any threads on that left, so that's what my night looked like last night. But I think I just figured out which ones go on these back rear ones. I think I forgot, and that was the issue, and plus that, and I just put the absolute whammy on this one last night. I mean, this sucker, we had to use a pry bar and work the nut off at the same time. It was on there, but we got it off. So I'm gonna go to AutoZone or O'Reilly's and get me 4 of these nuts. I think these are the back ones. I got mixed up. Well, it happens. They're about the same thread, but I think this one's just a little different. This is the one I think that needs to go on the front. So I see if they got 4 of these, 2 of those, maybe 2 bolts, but we'll see. I'll update y'all when I get back. Alright, so about after probably an hour of going between AutoZone to O'Reilly's and then finally ended up at Ace Hardware, got the nuts and got these lock washers. We're probably not going to use them, but got the nuts and some washers and bolts to replace the old crap there and stuff that already on the truck. So what I got here is I think this is a die. I think this is a tap, that's a die. I don't remember. I can never remember the name of them. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, that's a die. I got a die here. I'm gonna, this is the size M12 by 1.75. I believe that's the size of the bolts that I found over in all the hardware stores I went. Let me check my trash here. Yeah, M12 by 1.75. That probably didn't even focus, but it's what we're gonna go ahead and go out here to the truck and on this one it probably won't work, but I'm gonna try and see if I can put those threads back on. I'm probably gonna have to go down the size, which is what I figured. But when I was seeing the size of it, I don't know. Hold on, let me tell y'all up here. See how I can see a little bit better. But when I was here putting it on, it looks like there's still material there. So I don't know if this is the right size that came factory, the M12 by 1.75 one that I got, but let me make sure I'm getting started here good. But so what we're gonna do, we're gonna try and put new threads on this, and then since I don't have the original, or I'm not going to use the original ones with the lock washers and all that, I'm just going to put Loctite on all these threads and I think that'll do good. But that's the plan. Alright, and if you don't have a tap and die set, I highly recommend, if you're just like me, you screw up a lot, you're probably gonna need it. I think some auto stores rent it out, but I'll go ahead and just show y'all what I'm doing. So I got it on there straight, basically just applied pressure, everything, and then spin it right. And what I do, or what I've been taught to do by my dad and wood shop teacher, is you're gonna go ahead, probably need to get some WD-40 on that, but what you're gonna do is you're just gonna twist it on a little bit at a time, and then every so often, to get some of the old metal off, you're gonna go back a few to get those shavings out, and then you're gonna go in and then back off a little bit, just to make sure that you're really cutting those threads and you don't bind up with all the metal shavings that you have, because I haven't done it myself, but when I tap some stuff for robotics and stuff, I've heard they have this tiny little one. Eventually my teacher just made me do it since other people couldn't, but they broke off like I think 3 taps, and it's just aluminum block. So if you're not careful, won't happen with a die too often unless you really screw it. But if you do it with a tap, what you're going to end up doing is breaking that tap off inside of whatever you're tapping, and then you got a bigger problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm probably gonna get some WD-40 or something. I think I have some 3-in-1 oil or something, put that on there just so it's easier to cut. But I'll do that, and I'm gonna put together all this side just so I can get all the torque specs and everything correct for y'all, so y'all don't end up doing what I did, because I thought I put the wrong nut on there, but as I went to the auto store, I found out that they're all the same thread size, at least according to what old Jim Dandy here thinks. They're all the same thread size, so I don't see how this would have happened unless, what I'm thinking is I over torqued it, because I was putting on a torque wrench, and then I think I over torqued it to the edge there, and then I came back and it was just cutting new threads, and it just cut this clean off. So I'm gonna try this, see if this actually works, and then if not, go down to size and have to get bigger washer and all that to make it work. But I'll let y'all know when I get that done. Alright y'all, a moment of truth. So this is the oil I used on that tap, or whatever. They're not the, I don't know if y'all can see that on camera. This GoPro doesn't really like to focus up close, but they're still a little boogered. So this might have worked, this might not, we'll see. So I kinda think, holy crap, well, those are really shallow. I don't know, y'all. Might have to, I think I might have to go down size, because those, y'all probably can't see that at all on video, but how they look in person, that you can see some threads, but they're pretty shallow. I think if I end up torquing it, I think I might do the same thing I did before and just clean them right off. So alright y'all, so a little bit of an update. Crap hit the fan. Those threads I put on there did not work, and I tried putting smaller threads on there. Tried making the part that I'm putting threads on smaller so I could put like M10 on there instead of M12. That did not work, so I just ground it off. I've read that people have drilled this out and replaced the whole bolt. I was planning on doing that, but I might, instead of doing that, what I thought of is, since this thing didn't actually break, I was thinking about drilling a hole in there and tapping it, and just drilling, and then tapping it so that I could put a bolt in the end, and then that would keep the shock there. And I think that would be the best, because the shoulder, that way I keep the original shoulder, and it should be the same. Could also, think about it, it could affect it since it's hollow now. It could lead to worse. This is not solid. So that's something to think about. I'm gonna think about it. I might end up doing that, or I might end up just drilling this out. But either way, I'll show y'all what I did, just in case you're in the same situation as I am and you screwed up like I did. And threads, can't fix the threads, and you gotta do this. So I'll show y'all what I do for that. That way y'all have a visual representation. But man, it just keeps getting worse. So we'll see. Might try that and see how that goes instead of actually drilling the whole thing out or placing the bolt. But I'll see if I think it's strong enough or not, because I don't know how big of a hole I can make really to tap it. But we'll see. That's a little update for y'all. We'll see how it goes. Because I'm stubborn and lazy, I'm not gonna drill that out. Talked to my dad for a little bit and he agreed with me to probably make it more unstable, since this is where the shock actually rests. So what our harebrained ideas came together is I'm gonna try my best to just weld on the threads there and then clean them up, try and get some threads on the actual weld part and get the nut so that it'll just butt up against there, because all that nut really needs to do is just hold the shock there, and I think with just welding on the threads it'll do that now. Let me grab the piece I cut off. Alright, well, I found it, and I was gonna try and C-clamp it on there, but I couldn't ever get that to work, and I think I can hold it pretty straight to where it'll work. I've done that before where I just hold it because I don't have the right clamps. But if you're like me and you're too stubborn to buy an actual welder, or you're just too broke, which I happen to be both of them, you just got a flux core MIG. Let me plug it in real quick. I am gonna try out, saw this somewhere, so this type of nozzle, I don't really know. I'm just gonna try it out, see if I actually like it. But this stuff, this nozzle gel, I just got 4E because that's what that is. But nozzle gel, I find it, what it does is I think it decreases the splatter. Yeah, it's an anti-splatter film that you put on, you dip in with your any of your MIG gun, and I've used it a few times and find it really helps with the flux core MIG. But I'm going to change out this real quick. Back with some box grips. Maybe this will work. Get my tip. Lord, I'll be lucky if this thing goes on straight. Lord, about to be the worst welds you've ever seen. Hopefully that was better. Oh my gosh, that was worse. Y'all, I am not doing too good today. That'll have to do. Who knows, this might honestly just weaken the crap out of it because of the heat, but I don't know, we'll see. We shall see as I'm going along the road and shock falls down, but hope not. But alright, well, we'll do a bit more and we'll test her out. Oh wait, I think I have another glove on. Be at least a little safe instead of just my shorts and shirt I cut the sleeves off of because it's so dang hot. Man, it started to rain and then it stopped and there's a spot on the ground now. Now I'll see if that shock will go on after this cools down, and then might weld the rest of it up. Alright, well, as you can see, we're back. Shock went on. I think it's not nowhere near perfect, but I think it'll do. I think it'll keep that shock bouncing and doing its job, and then just throw some Loctite on it and it'll be good. I'm gonna finish up my little crap weld here and hopefully put it on today. We'll see. It's supposed to severe thunderstorm warning. We'll see, but don't do this unless, I mean, just don't. It's better if you drill it out. I mean, do this at your own risk. That's what I'm doing. We'll see how this goes. Man, I can't. This is terrible. Lord, if any welders are watching, please forgive me of my sins. Because I know that that is not anywhere near a good weld. Lord, I'm sorry y'all. See that? That is probably one of my worst works yet. Lord. Aside from the Fiero and when I was learning. I mean, man, if I could hit something. Yeah, we got some booger welds there. That's for sure. Yeesh. Like I said, I'm just doing this because I'm lazy. I do not recommend. This is the hardest thing to weld on. Got my big old yellow shock here. Oh, stop rolling. Alright. That's a decent spot for y'all. Let me tilt y'all up here a little. Lord, wind speed, man. Yeah, I bet it'll rain soon. Man, if y'all want to see my booger of a weld, that thing ain't nowhere near. Oh yeah, it's tilting down. But yeah, I would not recommend doing this. Alright. I'm gonna retrace the threads on this. Get any of that weld splatter out of there. I should also mention that this bolt I welded on is a little bit longer, probably about, I'd say at most half an inch longer than it should be. Alright, splash some holy water on her and call it good and put that shock on. I ain't even getting it on there. Figured that one. Whatever. There's the holy water. Alright. You know the funny thing about this is this ain't even the side I was gonna show y'all and give y'all a tutorial on. Or not even a tutorial, just showing y'all brakes and stuff, and I've been stuck on the dang shocks for the side I was gonna do to make sure I got it all right. Shoot, man, this is about to be terrible on the other side. Well, I think now, as long as everything goes good on this side, which it probably won't, nothing ever goes as good as you think it is, get this side's shocks buttoned up and brakes, and then hopefully in the next video, even though this video is probably just going to be all the crap that I ran into and like the plans on the Fiero and 2JZ, hopefully next video I can give y'all a little run through of what you supposed to do. This is just showing y'all what it's like when you screw up and make a mess you gotta do for yourself. But don't get despaired on any projects you have. I know that it gets tiring. I mean, everyone knows that. I got some new buddy, or one of my buddies started getting into cars, and that bird loud as heck. One of my buddies started getting into cars, and he got a Camaro, and he's been despaired about it. I'm like, this is just how it goes. You just gotta push through it, and then you'll have something that's you're proud of, and it's fun to drive, and you enjoy doing it. But anyways, that's probably all for today. Probably gonna get this side button up, and no, my luck, it's probably about to start raining. Y'all can see the clouds overhead. Very pretty. But finally it cooled down. It was so hot earlier, it's finally cooling down. But anyways, this should be the end of the video. If not, I'll probably splash some more onto it, and y'all see more of whatever screws me up for future jack. But that's all for now. Hope y'all have a blessed day, and y'all have a good morning, afternoon, or evening. See y'all.